Hello boys, this is Coach Andy Tritley, and we're going to take a look at individual and team defense from Duke against Pat Spencer of Loyola during the college playoffs this year. This game took place last weekend. It's May 2016. The key players here is Pat Spencer, number 7, is a great attackman for Loyola. And the defenseman who matches up against him for most of the game is number 44, Ethan Powley from Duke. So let's watch this first play where Spencer is going to dodge from this deep wing position back here at the corner. And he's fast. So watch how number 44, Ethan Powley, runs without throwing any checks because footwork is always more important than stick checks. And he forced the pass there. So let's go back and watch that in slow motion. So right here, Pat Spencer is going to split dodge to his right. And number 44 for Duke is going to run. Now, a couple key things here on team defense. First, because he's not a threat to shoot this far behind the goal, notice that this Duke defender, his man is setting a pick. So I'm sure he's calling out pick left. But he doesn't close the gap on this pick, because if this defender is standing right next to his man while his man's setting the pick, then he in essence creates a double pick, which makes it that much harder. Instead, he creates enough space between him and his player so that the defenseman can run right through the gap, which is exactly what happens here. Now notice this whole time, Ethan Powley, the defenseman, has not thrown any checks because Pat Spencer's running full speed, and it's all he can do to keep up with him. But he's running hip to hip. As Pat Spencer starts to curl in, Ethan Powley cuts off the angle. And right here, for the first time, he engages them with body contact. Now, look at how the Duke defenseman has a stick out front across the path of the Dodgers' direction, across the path of the attackman. And he uses his bottom hand and forearm to make that shove. Let's go back and watch that closer. So right here, as the attackman nears goal line extended, that's when he engages with the body check. But he has a stick out in front. Again, he's not throwing any slap checks or poke checks. He's just using his feet and now his hands to reach out and push. It's behind Pat Spencer's back, but he's pushing with that bottom hand, which throws him off. And you can see right here that that bottom hand here is in contact with his back, and that bottom hand's now become forearm, not just hand, so that he can get a good powerful shove, force him to make the pass. All right. This is part 2 out of 3 clips I'm going to show you of Ethan Powley, number 44 for Duke, playing defense against Pat Spencer, number 7 from Loyola. So you see that Pat Spencer is dodging from a what I call a deep wing, which is when you dodge, back in the corners on either side of the goal, versus the traditional X right behind the goal. And what Pat Spencer's going to do here is he's going to split dodge. He's going to go all the way to the far side of the goal. And I want you to watch the footwork of the defenseman, number 44 here. Oh, no, I'm wrong. You changed the direction. That's great footwork. We're going to go back and watch this whole thing in slow motion here, and then a good push out. So the first thing I want you to notice is what I teach on defense is called the P4S system. It's just a way to remember your steps, and so it's P, the number 4, and S because there's 4 letter S's. So the first thing is position. Notice that he's not positioned immediately between the attackman and the goal. He's a little bit upfield because he wants to take away that easy upfield dodge. So your position is the first, is the P. The first S is your stance. He's bent over at the hips in a good stance here, and I'll show you more on stance later. Then it's step, which is your footwork, the most important part. Then it is stick, and only then is it your stick. And then the last S is to shout. Always communicate with the rest of the defense. So in slow-mo here, let's watch as Pat Spencer has a stick in his left. He's going left. Look at this poke check. So as he's getting ready to play defense, this is perfect defensive stance. His feet are shoulder width apart. You can zoom in here. Feet are shoulder width apart. Stick is pointed out towards the defender. bent over at the hips, not standing up straight. Excellent stance by Ethan Powley here. Now, as Pat Spencer starting his split, perfect time to lay that poke check. Look how he extends out. He's still very far away. You don't want to poke check close to the player. And he lays that poke check right on the bottom glove. Perfect place to take a dodger right out of their initial move. Poke check at the split. Now, right here, Pat Spencer is going to roll. So the defenseman is anticipating this change of direction. And so instead of continuing to run in the same direction, notice that his right foot has now taken a drop step. Right there, see? He was traveling in this direction. He took a 45-degree drop step towards the goal in anticipation of the change of direction. His next step, another plant and back. He was going backwards that time, giving himself plenty of space. And then his next step, he's going to swing this foot back 45 degrees. Look at that. Almost 180 degrees, and opened himself up to be able to move with the change of direction. So because of that, Pat Spencer can't get the edge. And then right as he's nearing, he does it a little early here, but he senses goal line extended coming up. So he reaches out with his bottom hand, makes contact with the attackman, and keeps a stick across the path of the attackman's dodge and turns him back. Now he goes to the other side. Defenseman gets a stick out in front right there. You saw the defenseman lift his stick up. He's going to lift his stick up and over to keep it in the path of the Dodgers' motion. So now it's in place. And he's at goal line extended again. So he's going to re-engage with his forearm this time. And make sure he pushes him out. Attackman has no choice but to pass the ball off and live to fight another day. Now we're going to take a look at one more. It's the very next play. So again, Pat Spencer gets the ball. He really likes to dodge back in this corner area, or initiate from this corner area. We'll go full speed. Ethan Powley defending him again. There's that poke. Not so good this time. Look, he gets the edge. And the slide comes, but he gets the dump off. Now that player missed the shot. So unfortunately, Loyola doesn't get the goal there. But let's look at what was different between the last excellent individual defense and what happens this time. So this time, he throws that poke check right at the split. And then he starts running. But I want you to notice something. If we draw a line, Pat Spencer's going this way, parallel to the end line. So the end line's back here. And the defenseman's running parallel with him, which is good. He wants to be hip to hip. But what I want you to notice is that Pat Spencer starts to curl in, but the defenseman continues to go straight. He does not curl with him, and that makes all the difference. So let's zoom in. Take it frame by frame. So see right there, Pat, for you attackman, he digs that left foot in the ground, stomping bugs we call it, and he starts to curl. His next step's coming in. See how the attackman's curling? But the defenseman kept running straight. Pat Spencer's curling into him. Now, the attackman's closed the gap. The attackman's the one initiating contact now. And then right here, notice how Ethan Powley still has his stick trailing behind the player. He needs to flip that up and over and cut off the path to the attackman. And now it's just a foot race to try to get there. He tries to recover. It's a good slide. It's the right time to slide here. So his buddy slides. That stops the dodge, which is great. But Pat Spencer has a heads-up pass to a man on the crease, makes a good catch, but can't get the shot off. All right, so that's 3 good clips showing the first 2 excellent individual defense and footwork. And on the third one, it shows how quickly the attackman can get the advantage if you don't take good drop steps angling towards the goal and instead get caught out far running with your footwork in the wrong direction. Thanks for watching, boys.